So hello and welcome to an extra noisy, extra special bonus edition of Paula's Run Club with me, Paula Radcliffe.
And me, Christopher Thompson.
And you are backstage, properly backstage in the sweaty, and it is sweaty, it is like being in a hot, humid oven, commentary position, currently empty because, well, alongside me normally sits to this side, this is Stephen Cram. He's trying to get a little bit of rest because we have worked phenomenally long days, starting with the walks and the 2 marathons, being up at before 6 a.m. to get into position and then not getting back into bed in the hotel till, well, we can get in before midnight, but Stephen's been a little bit afterwards. So we're kind of really buoyed though by the performances. And I have to say, despite very, very tough testing conditions, phenomenal racing and really, really exciting in the 2 marathons. And I know that so many of people listening to the podcast will have watched those marathons and thought, oh my goodness, that is tough. But honestly, they're going to the same places that everybody goes to. And I know we got the opportunity to interview the surprise for everybody in the world, bronze medalist in Julia Paternain. And I have to do a big apology because on BBC commentary we did call her Paternain, but technically it is Paternain, and she says a lot of people get it wrong, particularly the Americans, but I would like to clarify that and get that correct for her. It's the least she deserves, given they couldn't even get a Uruguay flag to her at the end. So much was that medal unexpected, and indeed the first ever male or female. Phenomenal racing. Right, we are inside the Tokyo Olympic Stadium and very, very honoured to be joined by Julia Paternain for Paula's Run Club, and she finished a phenomenal third position, bronze medal in the women's marathon yesterday. Must have been an absolute dream come true. And Thank you for finding time to squeeze us in. I really wanted to try and get you on to your thoughts on the podcast, because I think you epitomise everything that we're about the running community and how dreams can come true. And particularly in the marathon, it really is about hanging in there through all of those tough moments, holding strong and believing in the process. And I read that that's what you did all the way through that.
Yeah. It feels extremely surreal, especially just being here right now, talking to you. I've looked up to you since I was really young. So it just, the whole thing, I can't really believe it happened. Definitely staying true to the process helped a lot, and just running my own race. And then the chips kind of fell where they fell. And thankfully that was, with a bronze medal, but it feels extremely special, and I still am in disbelief.
And now, run it by us, it was your second only marathon.
Yes.
So some people take time to adjust to the marathon. It really feels like you found the event that is right for you psychologically as well as physically.
Yeah, I've always loved the longer stuff ever since I was pretty young. I guess I had to wait till I was older to run the marathon. I feel like 25 is still fairly young to be running a marathon, but I knew that's what I wanted to do. I feel much calmer with the longer distances. It feels much less stressful to me. You have a while to warm up into it too. So it was just, I think I just kind of found my event, and I really enjoy it.
And I know a lot of people will find that hard to grasp, because that is the gift of the marathon, and that you have that, I think, is a huge thing going forward. And you now have a phenomenal platform to build off, but you basically have the basics for everything to be successful over the marathon, through being able to concentrate through that. I know everybody's talked about the heat. I feel it was more the humidity out there.
I was very grateful the sun was not absolutely blazing on us, because I did a pre-race workout at the track a couple days before, and the sun was strong, and the workout it didn't feel comfortable, so I was a little nervous for the marathon. But my coach Jack, he really had me prepared really well by doing the sauna leading up to this. We did a race in Iowa that was very humid, with the plan of getting used to the humidity, and then I train at altitude, and I think that just being at altitude, the conditions are hard, so then when you come down to sea level, regardless of the temperature, it still feels better.
But the humidity at altitude is less, of course, so
yes.
You had to kind of factor that in. Using the sauna is really smart. I have to ask this question because a lot of people are asking it.
Yeah.
You ran in the headband.
Yes.
What's in the headband? Is it stones?
I believe so. So the headband actually has a funny story behind it. So my training partner, she actually just didn't really realize what it was and had it under her bed. She was gifted it. And so she lent it to me because kind of last minute we were thinking of all the different things that we could do to combat the humidity. And I wasn't sure if I was going to wear it. I tried it the day before the race, I think, for the first time. And I was like, oh, this actually really helps. And I like having something on my head for some reason. I like running in a cap, and I just use that instead. And every time I would kind of move it about, because if you shift it on your head, it kind of cools you down. It would kind of make me think of her, and I was like, oh, this is like a fun little reminder that she's like here with me running. So I liked wearing the headband. I think it did help. If anything, it helped psychologically, just knowing I had something to cool me down. I did also grab ice at every single ice station that I found and just dumped it on me. So.
And we didn't see showers out there. There weren't showers. It was just the ice and the sponges, was it?
Yes, there was ice, sponges, and then, just drinks that you could grab. And I remember my agent had said, make sure you stay cool early on, because as soon as you get too hot, that's it. There's no coming back from it.
And we saw that so many times yesterday and in the men's marathon this morning as well. It was almost like once the body hits that core temperature is too much, it's just game over.
Exactly.
And that is gone, and there's no amount of coping will get through that. But we do talk a lot on the podcast about the fact that in a marathon you need to have your coping technique. You need to have your happy place wherever you go, just to keep putting one foot in front of the other. What did you use out there?
Yeah, so I think I just tried to stay as calm as I could for as long as I could, and that was my main focus, and just thinking about the process. So really, I wasn't thinking, okay, I'm at Worlds, or okay, I'm in this position. I was just thinking, okay, well, I want to run in the kind of mid 5:30s. I know I can do that, and each mile was just, okay, that was another one gone, another one down, like just keep this rhythm, keep the momentum going. And my race kind of didn't really change. The rest was just, okay, keep that pace, and then hopefully people will come back to you. I was never really thinking, okay, let's catch this person, let's race this person. It was just, I'm gonna run my race, and everyone else can do what I can't control what anyone else can do, so I'll just do as best as I can, and so be it.
Excellent. And I haven't seen your splits, but you were fairly close to even splitting, were you?
I think so. I think I may have negative split, but I'm not entirely sure.
I know they obviously the front two significantly negative split, but you were following through and almost closing as well to the end when they started to kind of play around against each other. You were actually making inroads all the time, and it was phenomenal watching it build up. And I've seen clips of your coach, your support team, and I think that is what's so cool as well. I mean, a marathon, it's truly a global family, and you're kind of a global person. I mean, you belong all over, and you have that support all over, and I think that's why your story captivated so many people. I did notice they didn't even have a Uruguay flag to give you, so you had a towel.
I mean, no one was expecting it, so I wasn't expecting it. I don't think anyone was, so yeah.
But it doesn't matter, up there. Did they say something to you? Did Perez and Tigges chat to you?
After the race I spoke with them. We were all kind of just very tired. And I think I was just in so much shock. I don't really know what even happened when I was down there. Just very much disbelief. So I think I spoke to them. I can't entirely remember.
And I can imagine, I know the UK are absolutely, we're absolutely claiming you. I know the US are as well, because you're based and training there. What has the reaction been like from family, friends, and everybody back in Uruguay?
Yeah, it's been absolutely crazy. The president from Uruguay has reached out to me, which is insane. It's been an absolute whirlwind. It's a small country, but it has a lot of pride. And so it's a lot of people have reached out to me, and it means a lot to my family members. I know they're getting like bombarded by messages too, in a good way. But yeah, it's been a lot.
And can you grasp the impact that you're going to have now moving forward? I mean, you are the first ever medalist at the World Championships for Uruguay. There are going to be so many little girls and boys now going down to an athletics track to begin with. Perhaps, I don't know, do you have cross country in Uruguay?
I don't think so.
But they're across there, as well as all those kids who have recently, or a couple of months ago, gone through English schools, and they'll be saying, well, if she can win the English schools, and English schools 3,000 meter champion, I was a long time before you were there. It was 2017 for you, right? In Gateshead.
I think it was 20, so I won twice. I think it was 17 and 18, or maybe 16 and 17, I don't remember.
In Gateshead was one.
Yes, and then I think Birmingham maybe was the
Birmingham
other.
was one I did as well.
Okay.
So yeah, there's such a heritage there, and I do think, I mean, they talk about English schools as it is the kids Olympics and it is the kids championships, and it does give you a good preparation in terms of the call rooms and things like that. And that was just the other thing I wanted to touch on here. And I don't want to take too much of your time, because I appreciate that you're spending time with us. You had to go through the call room at the warm-up and then bus over here. And then wait around to bus afterwards. I mean, as a marathon runner, you don't care afterwards, right? You just want to sit down. It's not like you're worrying about going to cool down or anything.
There was no cool down done after.
But is it a pain coming in the morning? Because so much of the marathon, you're used to basically just being able to visit the toilet last minute, get out there. How did that work here?
So I didn't find it too bad. We got AC in the bus, so I think that kind of helped, because I did my warm-up jog at the practice track, and then got on the bus. It was like a maybe 15-20 minute bus ride. Got here, and there wasn't really any time to do any kind of drills or strides, so that was a little kind of, you got to roll with the punches. My team has me very well prepared of how to deal with things going wrong in a marathon, and we're always saying there is at least one thing will go wrong. You might drop a bottle, you might you might need to stop to use the bathroom, you might not have time to do a proper warm-up, so you just have to go with it, and it's about staying as calm as you can. I think the fact that I had the bus ride honestly didn't make too much of a difference. I can imagine it not being very fun if you're running the 100 and you want to be sharp by the time you get here. Thankfully, I knew I had about 2.5 hours to warm up into the race, so the warm-up didn't really matter too much.
And how about recovery afterwards? I mean, we have a running joke. Thommo, that I do the podcast, who's listening in here, he knows what's coming next, don't you, Thommo? He bought an ice bath a couple of years ago. People in Flagstaff will actually know who Thommo is, and he hasn't managed to get in it yet. So did you use that as a recovery afterwards?
No, my recovery after, honestly, has been probably not as good as it should be. I've just been enjoying the moment, and I've been kind of just going with wherever the day has taken me. I came and watched some of the races after. I should probably do some more recovery stuff. I did get in the Normatec boots, which was nice. But yeah, everything else has just been just following where the day's gone.
Enjoy the moment, and you probably haven't had a chance to think about the next step, the next goal.
Yeah.
Are you aware you've now ticked off one of the most sought after goals in terms of, I know you might think about doing marathon majors. Sifan Hassan is on that mission to tick off the 9, including Olympic and World Championships. You have a World Championship medal, so you put yourself up there already. Are you thinking to go into one of the majors now?
Yes, I think so. I would love to run the London Marathon. So when I was growing up, I ran the mini marathon. I believe I came second, and I think that was one of my first road races. Erin Wallace, who's also here, I believe, on the British team, she won that race. And I loved that race. So ever since that, I knew I wanted to do the London Marathon. So that's definitely a bucket list one. And then
I think they'll let you in.
I hope so.
We'll sign you up now. Dave Bedford, you can thank me later. Spencer Barden.
And then honestly, any of the majors would be a really cool experience. All of them would be great. I would like to try and see if I can run a fast time, because I think I've now run 2:27 in pretty horrible conditions.
I guarantee you can run a fast time. Absolutely.
So I would hope so, but just see what comes.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
and the
thank you.
very best of luck. We will all be watching out for you. Julia Paternain, thank you, and congratulations once again.
There's a lot to peel back here, but she was just, her finish, when she crossed the line, just goosebumps just for the emotion for her, because she mixture of didn't know, happiness just to have finished, and just the lovely nature and just seeing someone that achieve. I mean, you've spoken to her and I got to listen in the background. I'm so proud that she even knew who I was. I was like, wow, she's the people's champion. But I think the story that kind of paints, and the picture it paints for everyone listening and watching at home all over the world, just especially in this day and age, was just, we so drawn to it, because she even said the president of Uruguay ranked her.
Yes, and I did ask you a question afterwards, and Suarez has texted her to say congratulations. There you go. Sports people stick together in Uruguay, and I just think it was phenomenal. I mean, she says, really, that's what I think was so beautiful about her run. She really epitomizes everything about the marathon being the people's event, and it's global, and it doesn't matter where in the world you're from. The marathon transcends that and kind of brings everyone together. And she's talking about the community of Flagstaff, the community of Arkansas, where she first went to uni. She was somewhere else in the US that she was at uni. I think it was Penn State, was it? Before that, she's got a mum in Ohio and a dad in Seattle, and a lot of her family back in Uruguay. And she said they are just inundated with people trying to pass on congratulations.
She's had... Yeah, well, this is the thing. When you look up, I'm sure a lot of people were looking up to see where she, her progression. She's done a lot of races that, especially in the UK, athletes will go, I've raced there, or even possibly raced against her at Parliament Hill, English schools. Yes, London Marathon Mini.
She was second in the mini marathon to Erin Wallace.
Yes.
Who is actually here competing. He went out sadly yesterday, didn't progress through the rounds of the women's 1500 metres. But how small is that running world and that support world? And I think that is just so cool.
No, exactly. And I think that the thing that, again, I really enjoyed hearing things that we all pick out bits of the story that appealed to us. And one of the ones where she said, I think it was California, after she finished university, she took a time out to go, what shall I do with my running? And for that year, she worked and ran and kind of figured out what she should do. Then went to Flag and to visit a friend, fell in love with it. I love Flag. I mean, I know you've been. Flag is one of my favourite places to train in the world. And then fast forward not even a year or two, and she's a world bronze medalist. And I think that, for me, defines sliding door moments of don't give up. Just don't, because you never know what's around the corner.
Just keep believing. How many times, and I'm thankful she gave us her coping technique there. And talked about the finish as well, because how many times do we watch people come over the finish and keep running? And that's in a big city marathon where there's a big arch and it's really clear. And she just kept saying she really had to check to make sure what position was she in, but also had she finished, because, and I don't know if you had a chance to watch the finish of the men's marathon this morning, but
what a finish.
How important was that of a lesson? Do not ever think that you can take your foot off the gas before the end.
Well, do you know what? I watched that, and I watch faces a lot. I know you and Steve talked a lot about when you're trying to assess in the final 5K athletes' faces, and one of the things I noticed was Sambu almost like his face kind of accepted his fate with 150 to go. He just looked like someone and went, you know what, I've medalled. He was second in the Commonwealth, wasn't it, a few years earlier, and it's almost like I've done it. But Petros was still fighting, and I almost feel like Sambu just relaxed, almost accepted it, and when he relaxed, he almost got this surge of energy of there's the finish line. And I feel like that might have contributed to that final 50-meter kind of burst. His body relaxing rather than grimacing and tensing up to try and win. And listen, it'll be interesting to speak to them to find out. But it almost felt like this kind of relaxation gave him that last little bit. And we're talking, I mean, it's the closest finish we've ever had, right? In the World Champs Marathon.
I mean, I think it was closer than the men's 10K was, and that was a close finish. But it was certainly close. They had to photo finish. They could not split them because in the marathon, they don't give you tenth of a second. So they're absolutely down to the same 48 seconds. 2:09:48, and that in itself is a phenomenal time. And the women's time was significantly slower. I actually think that Tugia Sesefo, who came out with the silver medal, has 2:11:53 to her name, and she finished in 2:24, I think, from memory. And in the men's race, 2:09, and Simbo's personal best, I think I'm right in saying it's 2:04. I don't think he's run into the 2:03.
I'm not sure. Do you know what as well? And it crossed my mind because when you did they did the slow mo to watch. A lot of people at home might think that the tape is the finish line.
Yeah,
but actually they hold it slightly
between
back.
The two posts.
It's actually the actual finish line of all the track meets. And so again, when they're leaning, the athlete has to, in that very intense moment, go, the finish line is actually a half a metre before the tape.
I don't. Do you think there are times to think about that? I think it was just all charged to the
just
line.
In terms
and
of
I
how
honestly
you're timing it.
Think for Petros, I think he knew Simbo was closing. He might have even had a bit more left, but I think he had just switched off because it was a few strides before the line. And in all fairness, he was thinking, savour this moment, remember this moment. And oh my goodness, I had to feel for him. I'm also pleased for Simbo because I've watched him lots of times in a lot of championships, and to get it right like that was huge. And for an Italian as well, so 2 Europeans
Yeah.
In the medals, a kind of European, because I know Uruguay is not in Europe, but the British bit is in Europe, in the women's side. And that's unusual in those conditions. I think a massive, massive leveler. And then we'll get on to the 10Ks, perhaps a little bit phenomenal, exciting races. I tell you, I have a son back at home who has grown up idolising Jimmy Gressier since he slid along the mud and face planted into the mud in the European Cross Country Championships. Were you at that one?
Which year, sorry?
Oh my goodness! Now you're asking. I think it was whatever.
The one
year
where
it
he
was in
slid and
Brussels.
fell on his face.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't there. No, I
he
watched.
was in, not even winning the seat. It was the under-23s. I think he was winning.
Yes, it was.
And
Yeah.
he did the football slide, and then that went wrong. Got tangled in the finish line banner, and actually face planted into the mud. Iconic moment. But I think so many kids just identify with him, and reading some of his quotes. I mean, he talks about how this is a childhood dream come true. It's something that you dream about as a little kid, but he's always believed when you step onto the track and you give it your best, anything can happen. And yes, he's a world champion that's replaced every year, but no one can take this away from him now, and I think that's cool.
I think you actually hit the nail on the head, because again, after the finish, Steve talked a lot about just the journey he's been over the last 10 years in terms of just... Oh, who was that?
Andrew Cox is just going to give a wave to the podcast.
Hi, Andrew. How you doing?
You have to go right into the mic.
Chris Thommo Thompson. Here we are.
Hello, mate.
Yeah, there's a proper runner. Not a proper runner, proper runner.
It's a runner, Andrew.
Everyone's all right. Yeah, sorry.
We're all runners. We're all runners.
Message.
You're doing a great job.
He can't hear you. I'll tell him that you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Sweaty job, but a great job.
Did he say that? Or are you translating?
No, I did.
Oh my God, he's awful. And Paula's so nice. He said, you're doing a great job. Well done.
You did it. Legend. He is so iconic as well with... Well, I think of him with golf and all sports, but he's a legend. But no,
I mean, honestly, I have to pinch myself sometimes that I sit here between Andrew and Steve on the other side.
No, I bet.
Absolutely.
I wish I was there with you. I'll be honest. It's but my kids will not allow that at the moment. They're far too young.
But
But
you might have to wait a little bit.
No, I know. But
we
no,
were
Jimmy...
talking about my kid who did forego going out to watch that 10K. That is the transition that we have taken, and that Jimmy Gressier has made him to. Perhaps he believed a little bit more than I did, Ralph, over the final 300 meters, because he was texting, "Come on, Jimmy!"
Well, I would have to get Gemma on with 400 to go. I went, this has got Jimmy written all over it. But the reason I had that in my head was because if you watch his Diamond League final, something switched in his brain of, I can beat these guys when it comes to a sprint. And the way it's one of the slowest World Championship 10Ks ever. I think it's by nearly a minute. And that played into the hands of someone with a real top raw end speed. And Jimmy, and again, we quite often... We think sprint finishes as being the fastest, but actually it's the person that stays closest to their freshest and it's almost the least tired. It sounds a terrible way of explaining
totally.
But Jimmy's top end speed is huge. That's the thing. His top end is superior, and he brought it out. It was incredible.
And just the way that the gaps opened up for him as well. And I'm going to say huge hats off to Andreas Almgren as well. I mean, he front ran in Stockholm. He did a lot of the work in there. We talked him out of it because he had spent time at the front, but he was able to rally and find something. And he talked about how he had a feeling it was going to go that slow. I don't think any of them believed it was going to go as slow as it did.
No, it was very slow.
He had a feeling it was going to go slow, and he worked on his speed and trusted that. And Kajelska as well. I was happy for him to see him come back and get a major medal.
Yeah, but I think I do wonder how many athletes this morning, because there were so many that had a chance, how many will go, I didn't play my hand. You know, in that final K, a lot of athletes had an opportunity to try and win a medal, and that was Almiron. That's what I loved about him. He was there to try. He ran to try and win a medal rather than waiting for it to come to him. And I wonder if a few athletes will look back on reflection and go, I didn't quite play my hand. And Jimmy, what Jimmy did in that last 400, when you watch it back, was he stayed patient. He stayed on the inside. He didn't panic. And athletes, you can see on the back straight how many athletes panicked. And Kajelcha made the move, and Jimmy didn't. He reacted in his own way, and then he just trusted he had that sprint. And I think Nico Young will be interesting to follow, because I think he'll be someone in the future to keep an eye on in the future. I think he came through well.
he looked rough in the beginning and he was
Yes,
really
but
struggling.
that's how he runs, I think.
And the other thing is the cooling techniques. I mean, I think that's big thank you to Julia for explaining what those headbands do. And I just think that's so amazing. You find it under your training partner's bed. And you actually you try it out for the first time in the World Championships, and I'm fascinated as to how the science behind that works. I'd love to get a scientist on the podcast to explain exactly how that technique works, because how those stones stay cool. And she said she moved it slightly, and it may be a little bit psychological, but it felt like it cooled her down a little bit more. You don't have to chill it, you don't have to add ice to it, it just works.
Do you know what this does, Paula, as well? It makes us look silly because we say never do anything new before a marathon.
No, that's different. She did try it in a training session, she said. She tried it in one training session.
The day before, yeah.
That's okay. We'll let her off with that one. It wasn't on her feet.
But the thing is, I think that's the thing, when she said the words in the day before, she's going, what more can I do to help myself with the conditions? And I think that's we all can be guilty. Not guilty is not the right word. We can all be in that mindset of, oh my word, suddenly these conditions are like London Marathon's a classic of you don't know till you get there and go, what can I suddenly do? And I think Steve Peters said something brilliant on one of our early podcasts, is the question of what if. Keep asking what if I miss a bottle, what if it's hot, and all these. And fortunately for Julia, there was a little trinket under the bed of her to find it. But listen, but this is what
phenomenal. And contrast that with Emil Carrez. I mean, I hope he's okay.
him.
I mean, he's talked about the fact, and I've texted with Soldan Hassan of Sweden, Gary coaches, just to see what happened out there. And so many of the athletes, once your core temperature reaches that point, it is game over. And credit to Soldan, he hung in there. Emil wasn't able to, and he's talked about how the fact he felt great. And then suddenly core temperature just hit that limit and it's out. And if Emil had concentrated on getting in shape, be in shape and let everything else look after itself, and perhaps hadn't looked at the smaller pieces of the getting ready for the humidity in particular. I think that's what, credit to Julia, she worked out with her coaches. In Flagstaff, I don't have the humidity, so I'm going to get in the sauna and make sure that I've got ready to be able to cope with that, because it's tough. I mean, I'm just going out to run easy here, and albeit on not enough sleep, but it's really, really hard. Really hard.
The thing is, I will say that we, I think this is where sometimes we're talking about the best athletes in the world, and we're talking about small differences that separate athletes, and preparation is part of it, yes. But I still think there's going to be some athletes that lean a little bit better into conditions or speeds. That's what separates us, those fine margins. And I think Julia's shown herself to be in hot conditions a superior athlete, and has earned that kind of accolade. And I think Emil, he's prepared himself and done incredibly well, and maybe just a little bit cooler temperature, and it plays more into his hands, and I think on another day he does medal. He's good enough to medal, and I'm sure we will see it in the future.
So many in there. I mean, we saw the Ethiopians, Kripa as well, step up early. Richard Ringer did well to hang in. I mean, the Italians were completely flipped on their head coming through for that bronze. And at one point, he again, a case in point, looked cool, looked good, right until he came into the stadium, and then just cracked, and you saw it suddenly written all over his face.
No, absolutely. And before we run out of time, women's 10K.
The women's 10. Oh my gosh, phenomenal last lap. Oh my goodness, Nadia Battocletti.
Another phenomenal last 400.
Really, I mean, the races that we've had, we didn't really touch too much on the battle with Perez Jepchirchir and Tigges de Seifa either in the women's. And
crikey, we got to do both then quickly.
Closer until today, but that was again. We talk about in the marathon. We get you to the finish. Go back to your coping technique. Go back to how much you want it. I think Perez just wanted that a little bit more. She was able to dig a little bit deeper. Did you see her face
at 150? Did you see? Because she literally, and again, this might be slightly misguided. I felt like Seifa almost expected herself to. She almost expected Perez to give up. She almost was running, going, "You're going to give up. You're going to give up. I'm the quicker athlete."
You don't do that in a marathon.
And Perez, literally, her face with 120 just went, and then ran, and it was just this beautiful kind of marathon determination of, I'm winning this. See you later. Almost. Do you remember Chris Akabusi in the night? I think it was in Tokyo, 1991, when they won the 4x4. I think I'm getting the right year. And he turned, looked across it. Was it Pettigrew on the last? And he just went, see ya. And he had this, he was just sat on him. In the last 100, just like, I'm winning this. And it's almost like Perez did that to Asafa, just, I'm winning this and I'm off and I don't care what you throw at me. And it was like the look of Asafa, she kind of reacted, but almost reacted in a disbelief kind of, what's going on? This isn't the story. What are you doing?
And you have to almost feel sorry for her, don't you? Happening 2 years on the trot there, Sifan Hassan, and actually that's a matchup I would like to see. At the finish line is Perez Chepchirchir in top shape and Sifan Hassan in top shape, battling that out. My money would be on Sifan, but only just. That's just because
we need to get her on.
You can't ever bet against. Yeah, we definitely do. And we have that request in. Everybody will get that on to you as soon as possible. I did ask Julia about joining the shakeout in New York if we make that happen as well. And she's totally up for that.
Perfect. So the women's 10.
So that women's 10,
Chebet, I mean, do you know what? I'm watching at home, and don't get me wrong, I think she ran it perfectly and timed to run. Bachelotti, I'm not being funny, but like she's not just done it. I said Bachelotti. How do I say it? Bachelotti. If I said it, Bachelotti. This is thanks for that.
Sorry.
I think I call Sambu Simbu as well. It's the other way around as well. I'm literally all over the place. It's too early. But she reacted. But I do wonder if Battacletti had almost been the first to react. I wonder, And I wonder if I know she'd be happy with her silver. I wonder.
Think she believed. Because I think Beatrice Chebet, everything that she's done, the manner that she could close in, I was stunned that Battacletti got as close as she did, and I think she always thought she was going to be following Beatrice Chebet, and that was the game plan. I don't think she dreamed. I'd like to get her thoughts on it, but I don't think she felt she would get as close as she did, because there was a point where Beatrice Chebet wasn't going away anymore.
No,
and that gap wasn't yet broken. And it's 2:38 final kilometre in these conditions. That is just absolute. So more than the last lap, I think it was that final kilometre. So we're being treated so far to some amazing distance races and rematches to come in the 5,000 metres as well. And I will try and update on that. So we're going to try and catch up as we close on these championships. I'll try and come on the final Sunday evening and just give the final thoughts of it. It is getting noisy here in the stadium, so I'm conscious
it's fine.
It's hard to hear. Do we have anything other to recap?
No, I think thank
I'm
you
going to
so
put on
much.
the honors board. Come on, I'm going to put Julia on the honors board.
Oh crikey, yeah. I mean that's.
Actually, you know who else I'm going to put on the honors board? Is our technicians in here. So we have Alec and the back of Kath Hogan there, and if we're operating on little sleep, they are operating on even less. And so big shout out to them. It's a marathon for them through these first 3 days to be able to cope. Luckily, we've got a morning off tomorrow, so I think everybody's going to be sleeping in a bit.
Are you? Can you? I know for people
Andrew's
that are
going for a run.
Is it? For those that are watching on YouTube, can you do a quick pan? Show us the track.
I can
for those,
do a quick pan.
We might lose internet, but that's fine.
Yeah. Right. There is Kath and Alec. There is NBC, who are bothering to come in, and it's the stadium.
Wow.
Which actually, because of the way they've changed the colours of the seats, which they did because it was an empty stadium, it does look, even when it's empty, as though there are people there.
Yeah, it does look. It's been looking packed on TV, I've got to say. So how's it? What's the atmosphere been like in and around the track?
Really amazing. I mean, actually walking in this morning, it was packed in the metro station. So many people, and they thought the stadium was going to be sold out, but actually a lot of people went out on the streets for that route, and it was a public holiday here in Japan. So we thought they were all coming to work this morning because it was a Monday morning, but they actually weren't. They were all coming to watch the marathon. Proper blue ribbon event. And so it's fun because it's the only place in the world. I don't know if I've told you the story. In 2004 I came out here. I think it was 2004. It might have been the back end of 2003. And so just after I'd set the world record, and I went for a run around that Imperial Palace Gardens on the path around the outside. I actually people were joining in and knew who I was just running, and nowhere else in the world would that happen.
Nice.
It is the home of the marathon.
Without a doubt, and there's been some good footage of Japanese athletes, giving it some. What was the Japanese athlete's name in the men's marathon that he only came off with about 2 or 3K to go?
Kabaya or Kondo?
Kondo, that's it. Kondo,
yeah.
Yeah, he did really well. But you could see in his face, it's just that, you know, you live and die by that kind of, you fall on your marathon swords, for lack of a better word. And I think, it's just, it's been a good championship to watch. So many of them were
doing that today. They were literally hanging in.
Yeah.
I know we say to many people, and a lesson for everyone, that advice that we do hand out. Julia Paternain does think that she just about got a negative split in. And the first
which is incredible.
That's all 3 medals in the women's race in negative splits. Not actually in the men's, just was it? I think there was 65-10 or 65, somewhere around that halfway.
I'm not sure. I didn't see the halfway split.
3 medalists did negative split in the men's race as well. So lesson to everybody out there: don't do what I did, do what they did.
Well, yeah. But I think, to sum up, I think one of the 2 things from the legend, the honorary board member of Julia, was 2 things from the thing I think she personified was, she found the marathon at 25 and thought, is this too soon? But the fact was, the pull and the enjoyment and the fun of it was the thing that said, no, this is right for her, which I think is fantastic, is she went by feel and not by outside things, or 25 being a good age. It was just, I love this. And the other one was, she tried to stay as calm as she could for as long as she could.
Hold on,
and stick to her own pace. Who's there?
Break into this. Guess who's getting the medal?
Oh, is she on the screen getting the medal?
No. It's Jimmy Gressier. About to come
Jimmy's
up. There is
getting it.
Kajelska. Can you see?
Vaguely, I can see just about see.
Actually, what am I doing? I'm going to just look at the monitors. That's probably easier.
Oh, there's Kajelcha.
Why would I not take advantage of the host broadcaster?
There you go. Oh, yeah. Are we allowed to show this?
No, we're not, but yes, we are. It's my personal footage. I think we are.
Do you know what, as well? For anyone's listening, watch that 10K back, the final lap, but watch it with the French commentary. Absolutely.
Yes. Absolutely.
Chills, I mean, total chills.
Basically, it's just
I just love that kind of raw emotion coming out, and he is someone who wears his heart in his sleeve. He's emotionally, he's just all in, and I love that. But this is what finishing off with Julia. Her words were, stay as calm as she could for as long as she could, and stick to her own pace. And I think that goes through the messaging we always talk about, and everyone should talk about. You never know where you're going to end up, and especially in a championship marathon, you know, you look at where people are sitting at halfway or even 35K. So much can happen in the last 5K, 10K, and just never give up.
Absolutely. She's got that one moment to go back to. We talk about people have that one moment that gets you through the rough spots. She has got a phenomenal moment to get her through those rough spots in future marathons. One quick shout out while we're here. I'm going to be professional. NordVPN.com/Paula's Run Club. That is still running.
Always thinking.
And Raf used it to watch Jimmy Gressier. He was actually texting me in the middle of it. Mum, quick, send me the login so I can get in.
Oh, brilliant. But that's you don't want to miss moments like that. I think athletics right now, I think that for me, so far from what I've seen, this is one heck of a great advertisement for world athletics.
Yes.
And I think these events have been, I'm biased with the distance running, but even the 100 meters have been fantastic. Everything has been so good this championship.
And I want to say a big arigato, dazamazai, something like that. I'm getting the last bit wrong, but
you sound like me mixing up your words.
Dazamazai, is that arigato dazamazai?
That's just you being polite, is it? Thank you very much.
Yes, me saying thank you to the Japanese hosts here for
you're getting tips off Andrew?
Phenomenal. Yeah, Andrew's a linguist.
Ah, wow.
So yeah,
that's why you should have teamed up with him for the pod, not me.
The only thing we're not saying thank you to is the internet, because it wasn't great. We are a little bit better today, but it is.
That surprises me. I would have thought the internet would have been first class.
It wasn't. We weren't getting splits all the way through the men's marathon. We did get good splits today. For the men's marathon. For the women's marathon, we weren't getting splits at all. I'm getting confused now with that sleep.
No, don't listen. Don't wait. Listen, we've taken up enough of your time. Thank you so much, Paula.
So much. And this has been a bonus episode of Paula's Run Club. And you can remember to drop in to the weekly shakeout, which will drop on Thursday, and then that full round out. Hopefully, we'll get it to you for next Monday. Thank you for listening.
Legend. Thank you so much, Paula.